All right, so we have a screw post portfolio here, which looks great. You have the clear cover on it. So the clear cover, you don't have anything engraved on it, which as you move forward, I would probably engrave something on your cover. I think that that always works nice, but it allows us just to get straight into your portfolio and see your signature there. So this is very personalized. It's a nice logo. It has great style to it that really matches what you're presenting with your work. Then we get right into it and we get right into the title. So I don't think this page here is necessary. It's just kind of an extra thing for me to turn. But somewhere in here, we need to know your name. So even here, because your name is not common, it's not clear like what your name is in that. So I would for sure have something, and it can be at the end, it doesn't need to be at the beginning, that tells us your name, gives us contact information for you. Because I'm getting into this without really knowing whose portfolio I'm looking at. So self-expression. So we've seen these images before. The images look great. Is this the same paper? Looks like you're using a different paper on these two. This area where you have these quotes, I think really brings the work to life. I'm glad that you included those. But it also becomes a little bit of a distraction as it feels kind of pasted on there opposed to embedded within. So I would print these actually on the back side or have two pieces of paper. I would print it on the back side is what I would encourage you to do. So that it doesn't feel like crafty, but it feels like it's really embedded in your portfolio. So I've looked through this, I've read all of these. This image has like kind of a weird halo behind his hair there. So this is all about body art and how people are presenting themselves with their body art and why that's important to them and what it means to them. So part 1 of self-expression. Part 2 is about fashion. And I would just say the same thing. These, I feel like, are taking away from the strength of these images. These images are great. Having the side-by-side image where we're seeing the person, the close-up of the person, similar to what we had here. And then we see the fashion. So it kind of is a flip of this, where here we're getting the detail on the right side of the body art and the portrait on the left side. Here you have the portrait on the left side still, but the full body portrait ends up being on the right because that's how you're going to represent their style. And I love that these are just all like kind of random styles. You're not promoting anything with this. You're promoting the individual. So it feels very different. Each picture that we look at, the different styles of the people, the different body art of the people, the different shoes that we'll look at in a minute of the people. But it's very unique to each individual. So your style of photographing it, we're getting into the shoes here. Your style of photographing it comes through, but it's more about them in these images, and that's really the magic of what you've created. So your work is really strong. Obviously, you've had a number of pieces in the spring show, and I would think that your portfolio work would get in the spring show. And the critical side is that you're using plastic sleeves. So the name of the book that we're using for this class is called No Plastic Sleeves, and there are multiple places within the semester that we said not to use plastic sleeves. So that's one thing I would have changed on this. I would have had paper that is scored and that would fit right into the portfolio. I think that would be my number 1 choice. Number 2 choice would be that you would have these tags on the edges of your images, and it would be a little plastic strip on the edge, and you would put that in here. So that would be what was holding them in. The other thing is this side over here, where this just has a little bit of a crafty feel to it, opposed to a really succinct embedded feeling to it. So that's the other thing that I think probably prevented you. It's definitely not your images that prevented you from getting this into the spring show. And then we have your name, and I thought your last name was start with a B, so I did not. So even for me to read that, it doesn't seem as clear to me, and that's why looking at your initials here, I was a little bit confused as well, even though we've seen that before. Lining it up with your name felt a little off. So the one thing I would do to improve this portfolio and to raise the level of work that you have, raise it to the level of work that you have, would be to not use the plastic sleeve, to either use a strip on the side or to have scored paper, and then to not have those papers just glued on the other side, but rather to have that more embedded. Your work is really strong. I think you have a great portfolio to go out into the world with.